Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about A Purple Place for Dying, John D. MacDonald, book number 3 in the Travis McGee series. But before we do, I'm going to talk about Midnight Sun by Joe Nesbo. In March, I read Blood on Snow, which is book number 1 in this Blood on Snow duology. I wouldn't even call this duology. I wouldn't call this a series because they're not connected. I gave this a 4.3 when I read it in March. I was interested in getting book 2, which I did. I haven't had a chance to read it, but if you saw my weekly wrap-up, you knew I had some free time going into this week and some time off helping Carly move, so I downloaded the Audible book for this, even though I have the physical copy. I was going to be driving a bunch, so I spent time listening to the book, and I was going to be doing we're going to be doing cleaning and painting and everything else, stuff I could listen to Audible book while I'm doing those things. I wish I would have saved my Audible credit, to be honest with you. This book was not good. Not good. Let's talk about it. The summary of this book is pretty simple. John is on the run. He once was a drug salesman, sold drugs, and, he gets a job offer from the top Norwegian crime boss, the Fisherman, which is the only tie between these two books is the Fisherman. And the Fisherman only plays it's a little conversation about why we're here kind of flashback. That's the only tie to this book. These books are basically standalones. But John gets a job as the Fisherman's new fixer, and the money's good, but what can John do? Is he going to say no? And so things happen, and very kind of who cares things. And so, I gave this book a 1.8. It's the second lowest rating I've ever given a book, and I would have DNF'd this book had I not had this time to where I could fit an Audible book in, and it's a very quick read. That's the only thing I can say positive about it is it's quick. Nesbo does try to write this in a pulp kind of way, and I think he may somewhat achieves that, but that's it. The story was uneventful, vanilla, the characters are uninteresting, and I wish I wouldn't have read it. I do like Nesbo's Harry Hole detective series way better than I liked this book. I did like book 1, though. I gave it a 4.3. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it. Book 2, no thanks. There is no book 3, and that's probably best for all of us. But that's the review. Let's get back to the original our original story here, which is A Purple Place for Dying by John D. MacDonald, book number 3 in the Travis McGee series. This was published in 1964. Some fun facts about MacDonald. He originally was trained as an economist. MacDonald actually began writing for a pulp magazine after World War II. He's known for his elegant and more literary prose in what is often described as genre fiction. He's widely acclaimed by his contemporaries as the motivation and inspiration for the writing, such writers as Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Lee Child. MacDonald has won a National Book Award and was named a Grand Master by the Mystery Writers of America in 1972. A Purple Place for Dying was published in 1964. The summary of this thing is we have Travis McGee. He is the main character in this series, and he is known as what he calls a salvage consultant, which is a nice way of saying that he finds things and he gets paid for that. This one is a very kind of twisted mystery. We're not in his usual neck of the woods. We're not in Florida, Fort Lauderdale area. This time, McGee travels to the American Southwest to meet with a woman named Mona Yemen. And she spins a tale about embezzlement. She has an older husband that she thinks is milking her inheritance that she got from her father and using it to basically fund his business endeavors, and he treats her like a child and basically thumbs her, so to speak, in every way possible, and they don't have a marriage, and she wants out, and she wants to try to recuperate her inheritance, and she wants Travis McGee to do that. But before he can get started, a major life event happens in this story, and it spins Travis into a different kind of avenue with this kind of work. And what ends up happening is he gets a different story obviously from her husband, Jazz. And what ends up happening, what he has to uncover is who's telling the truth, what is their ultimate motivation for what they're telling him, and what can he believe. And that is kind of the premise of this. I'm keeping it very vague because I don't want to spoil the book. It is a quick read. So let's talk about what I enjoyed. The pace is phenomenal. I will say this, MacDonald's pace and his prose are just fantastic. They really are. From start to finish, I was just enamored by this book. Jazz was a great character, because I don't know if consciously or subconsciously MacDonald wrote Jazz in a way that you had to kind of, is he telling the truth? Does that story make sense? How does McGee, what's his thoughts around it? It creates a very interesting dynamic on top of what's already going on, especially as you're reading the book, or what you think is going on. I really liked McGee, and he's done this in all three books. Is he's very interesting, and he's very interested in kind of the social engineering aspect of it. And we're talking about in a time period where we didn't have the technology, so it's even more prevalent. But when you look at it from the lens of where we are today and the things that we have, it's very interesting to kind of think about it that way. I liked Isabella. She's an interesting character. Something else that MacDonald does really well. He always creates a character, at least a female character, that's somewhat annoying, but has a character arc throughout the story that kind of becomes interesting. And I found that with Isabella in this situation. I also liked how McGee kind of understands women and the mental side, and he uses that not in a physical way. He uses it in a way that kind of furthers him along within what the work he's doing. And he's very good at handling women in an emotional way. And if you read the books, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's very introspective. It's really interesting. I've never read an author that writes it that way, and I think that's also really cool. The climax is done very, very well. You have a mix of a mystery, whodunit, and then you have a standoff, and I thought it was really cool. The local law enforcement element here with Sheriff Buckleberry was very interesting, how they're butting heads with McGee, and then they're kind of, well, he does have good information. It does, McGee was right, and I thought that was an interesting dynamic. I have no criticisms. In terms of rating, I give this a 4.6. It was a great, great read. I really enjoyed it. The best of the three I've read so far. I understand why Joseph reads books, why he likes this book so much. It is a very, very good book. There's not a lot to say negative about the book. The pace is great. The characters are great. The setting, the plotting, it all works well. The prose is great. If you like crime, pulpish noir, if you like fast pace, if you're a fan of old school kind of crime style writing, this is right up your alley. If you want more kind of action or romance, you're not going to get much in this entry, and that's may turn you off. But wow, what a great book. A Purple Place for Dying, John D. MacDonald. Book number 3 in the Travis McGee series. Gave it a 4.6. Really enjoyed it. I hope you're having a great day. Happy Friday. I'll talk to you later.